We're back.
Long time coming, but we back.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a while.
But to
I
be
mean,
fair, there wasn't really much going on. So
agreed. I was not going to say there was much going on. Things are now kind of kicking back up, literally, right? So it's time to start back while strike while the iron is hot, all right? Right.
so.
So
But
if
before we jump into it, as we just
right,
normally do,
right.
we have the pause.
I,
With them, no blue waters or no Welches.
Close enough though, no? Close enough, right? A little Bentley here, you know what I mean? A little Bentley. A little thing, you know what I mean? A little refreshing
I don't
thing.
ban you. I don't ban you, because I get a new host. I get
Right.
a new co-host.
All
Man,
right, so you fighting on my Bentley, oh?
I mean, it's pause, dog. I mean, when we talking pause, we talking liquor.
I just
Anyway,
saying that the Bentley bad.
to represent for us alcoholics out there, have a little home cocktail, a little rum, some orange juice, and some blue curacao.
Yeah,
I don't have a name for it as yet, but it
because I
looked
had
a
it.
lot better before I stirred.
Right? You call it a hard day to it, right?
Yes. You're good at it. You're good
A
at it.
hard day to it, right? Cool, no problem.
It's been a week,
It look,
and
it
it's only
look like
Monday.
it look like an incredible hot though.
Nah. It's a green monster type, but not a hook.
All right, cool. Well, all right, let me get into it. Football season is back on, right?
Week
A lot
two.
of things going on. Yeah. Week up is that was number 2, right?
Yeah. Week number
Yeah,
2
wrong
for
number
most
2.
leagues, I think.
Yeah. For most leagues, right? A lot of things to discuss. Transfers, how teams are looking in their first 2 rounds. A lot of stuff. I think I want to start off with the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room, we had to
Which
call
one?
it. It have many, but this one need a special mention though. Is Leverkusen ever going to lose again? I think that's why I want to start off with, right? I mean, it's inevitable that they would, but
I don't
come
expect
on,
them to
man.
go another undefeated season.
No, but I mean, these late goals getting more than ridiculous now. Come on, man. Come on, man. In the 10th minute of extra time, a penalty to score, right? It's getting ridiculous. I mean, kudos to them. Kudos to Zabi Alonso that they're still kicking on. And they haven't lost much, if anybody at all, from the original team. In fact, they gained some much needed players,
Which is
for
rare for
sure.
them, because
Which is
Bayern
rare
Bayern
for us. I
usually
like that.
buys up all the players. So
Well, I mean, they had coaching problems, so I guess that must slow them down a bit. But I
their
mean,
company now.
right. I mean, hey, again, we can't really knock company too much. It's his first time at this elite level. I'm not going to consider Burnley an elite level. But let's see what he can do. They won their first game, 2-1, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't think did they play a second round? I can't remember if they played a
I don't
second
know. I
round or
didn't.
not.
I've been very much slacking these first 2 weeks. I ain't gonna lie. I've been kind of busy. I had some things going on, so I've missed a lot. Um, in terms of the Bundesliga, I haven't really looked at anything where that is concerned. My focus has more been La Liga and Premier League. So, um, but you always expect Bayern to be on top. Just last year they had a little slip up, but um, I don't know. There's a lot of changes for both. Well, not for both squads, but more or less for Bayern. Dortmund as well went through some changes as well too. Some old guys has left. Marco Reus. So it'll be left to see what happens. Maybe one of the other clubs like Werder Bremen or something comes up and has a year. Usually that happens every 3 or 4 years or so. So could be excited to have some new players in the mix now, not just the typical regular names coming up all the time. So um yeah.
Yeah, I just watching them, but Bayern Munich only played one game,
Okay,
at
so that
least.
means they're probably playing during the week, midweek.
Yeah, because there are some midweek fixtures that's supposed to happen, especially this week here for most, if not all.
Yeah, because international break is coming up as well.
Correct, correct. So the match that they played was actually against Wolfsburg, and they won 3-2.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so they won. So it's, I mean, we'll see how it goes, with company being at the helm to see how they'll progress. I mean, FCB still has enough talent to be able to dominate with most of the German league, and with all the changes that Borussia Dortmund has made, losing Fulkrug. I think this guy also left. The left back Ian Matson, he also left. So they lost a good bit of names. If I'm not mistaken, Brandt also left also. So it's a good bit of names that actually left to go to other places. So Borussia Dortmund, sorry, would have some teething problems.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they also won their first game also, so it's not a bad start. But it's early still to really
Yeah,
to go about
men still
judging.
on that Euros hangover. Some still on the Copa America hangover. So some on our Olympic hangover. So I
I'm
mean,
just on a hangover. I
some just
mean,
on a hangover.
yeah,
So
right.
I mean, it's I don't like to really give any kind of I don't really think about take too much or give too much this early in the season. I think some teams, I mean, the top teams would do what they do. They fall back into their regular groove, especially if they haven't made much changes. Um, but we more start to see a trend later down in the season because I mean there'll be some teams that would catch a hot start because like as I say that there are some teams at the top of the leagues right now like Celta is on top of La Liga. You have some other team. I forget what I saw today too. In terms of the EPL, you have some surprise teams kind of in the top six. So you expect that within the first couple of weeks. Then teams kind of right. You have Brighton sitting second in EPL after beating Man U this weekend. Hey, but I mean it's early,
Right.
so it's just 2 games. Somebody
It's
has to
just
win. Somebody
it's
has to
just
lose.
2 games. It's just 2 games, but you just touch on a little topic there in terms of Manchester United. Now, let's drift across to Manchester United a little bit. So, to be quite honest, there's always been this notion coming from their fan base that the board isn't spending any money on the team. I don't really agree with that because Manchester United have been spending. Whether it is that they brought in Casemiro, whether it is that they brought in in case of this season, they kind of bringing back the old Ajax team back together in terms of Delict,
Yeah.
Matsuai, right? And other Xerxes came in. There's talks of still Ugati coming in. So they
So
have
as I say
invested
that
a
too, I
lot this
also
season.
saw,
Mhm.
I don't know how true it is, probably a possible swap with Sancho going to Chelsea for Sterling and I think it's Gallagher. The two out of favored Chelsea players right now. I'm not
Well,
sure how true it is.
Gallagher's already gone to
No, Gaga
Atletico
with
Madrid.
Atletico.
Yeah, so
Right.
he's already
It's
so.
somebody else. I can't remember who it was, but not sure how true that is. It's one of those transfer rumors, especially the late transfer rumors. So
Silly
who knows?
season. Yeah. But I mean, Manchester United in the first game that they played, they didn't look too bad actually. Um, in that game, that was one where Zirkzee felt he actually got the winner.
Right.
So yeah, they didn't look too bad in that game. I mean, compared to the second game, which was a little bit more off, I do think that Ten Hag still isn't putting his best players on. I mean, there are certain players who just to me has to start. Garnacho for one, definitely has to start in my opinion. Um, I know there's a kind of what's the word I'm looking for. There's a bit of hate that goes towards Rashford.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think at some point, I do know that they have some injuries, so definitely Rasmus Højlund, who is their striker, he's injured, so they're playing with a lot of false nine kind of narrative where Mount and Bruno Fernandes are playing up front.
Mount.
So not the best, but I mean
Mount.
you deal with what you have. Yeah, Mount, yeah, Mount.
No, but as you talk on that and stuff, right? Let me ask you:
Mhm,
is the problem the United players? Because to me, they have a decent group of players collectively,
mhm.
right? A mix of experience and also some youth and some youthful experience as well too, right? So is the problem the players or is the problem the manager? Is the problem the board? What seems to be the problem with United right now? Because United is a club rich in history. We've all known United. We've all rooted for United at some point because I mean, if you're a Trini, you back York a little bit, man. No, yeah, I hate that though. Anyway, point is that they're a team rich in history. They've had world class players come to the club. They've had a world class coach in Sir Alex Ferguson, right? What seems to be the problem with United right now? Because I mean they had their issues in terms of the board and everything changing a few years ago, and some in and out coaches they're trying to move on from that Fergie era, right? They had Mourinho, they had some others come through, but what seems to be the problem now, presently with United, in your opinion?
I can't say specifically because I'm not into Manchester United folklore like that. But definitely, what I do is that I listen to a lot of fan base discussions when it comes to football. As I say, one argument is the board. The board isn't spending money on the team. Um, Based on, as I said, what we have seen over the last couple of seasons, for sure, I don't think that could be true.
Mm-hmm.
They are spending on players. They may not be spending on facilities and maybe even the stadium might need an upgrade. But in terms of the
Yeah, well, Trafford
not
is
spending
really
on the
old right now.
yeah, it's really old and leaky too. But they definitely have been spending on the players, right? And Manchester United is a brand, even though they're not winning right now, they're making a lot of money still.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think investing money in Manchester United is an issue. Um, and getting players is not an issue. I do think that there was a coaching issue moving on from Sir Alex Ferguson, and they went through many different types of coaches, as will happen anytime you had a generational coach like Sir
Agreed.
Alex, right?
Agreed.
So they went through Moyes, Mourinho, um, the guy who was there last year, I can't remember his name right now, Van Hal. I know that Ten Hag. I don't think
They had
Ten
a
Hag.
slew of coaches for the
Yeah, that had a lot of
past,
coaches. Yeah,
let's
for the
just say the past, what, 5 years to a decade, more or less?
yeah. Um, I mean, coaches is part of it. I think Ten Hag is part of the issue, but I also don't think that he's the full issue. Meaning, he is going to make mistakes. He is going to not have the players that he always wanted. He's on his third season, so that excuse kind of starts to fade away because you're in the third season now. You should have at least the team or close to the team that you need to have to be able to perform. But definitely, I don't think he's the entire problem. I do think that one of the bigger problems is the players. I think a lot of the players are making a lot of money and they're not actually as good as they seem to be. Rashford had a point in time where he was on fire for that particular season. Have a huge contract. To me, he has not lived up to that hype since that particular season. Um, they were struggling for a striker. They had a point in time. Ronaldo, when he came back, was their highest scoring player. For somebody at that age, should be the highest scoring player. That was an issue. Then we had the whole
Riff.
conversation. Yeah, the whole riff where he was actually sent away. Cool, that's done with. They just have Hoyland right now, who is decent but is young, so he's going to take a little while to be able to fit in with the squad. Has scored some decent goals. But at the end of the day, I think that they just don't have the players to be able to challenge for that top four. When I say for that top four, you have to think about. Sorry, let me repeat myself. It's not the top four. It's the top three. Nobody in catching City. Straight up, nobody in
I mean,
catching City
Liverpool,
right
Liverpool
now.
get him a run.
Liverpool win once. That's once, right? Once, right? But
Fair,
nobody in
fair.
catching City right now, right? Even though Arsenal may want to pop a little fight now, nobody in catching City. And the version of City we are seeing now, Haaland still scoring hat tricks, still isn't the full version of City until after Christmas when they really hit their stride. So nobody in catching City right now,
Yeah, City
right?
score like what, 3 or 4 goals in 15 minutes. Weekend gone.
Yeah, yeah. They're
After
like,
after conceding first.
oh, you want to score on us? All right,
All right,
cool.
cool.
All right, let me
All
show
right,
you
cool.
what's
All
up.
right, bet.
Right. So I don't think they have the players to challenge top four because right now the top four are City for sure, Arsenal in there for sure, Liverpool. Even though Liverpool has changed coaches and that may affect things in the long run, you have to put Liverpool there for sure. So yeah, that's three spots gone already. So you have basically one spot remaining, right? And that's a fight between Manu, um,
Tottenham,
Newcastle, Tottenham, Aston Villa,
West Ham.
um, West Ham to some extent, um, Newcastle if they could hit their stride, like how they had before the injuries of last season. So it's a lot to fight for top four. Well, for the last spot in the top four.
Right.
And I don't think they had the players previously. They have made some good transfers this season. Hopefully, they could get back their striker and we can see what could happen. But
Now, but United have a deep squad though.
really, if you really look at it, is it really? Think about it a little bit.
I mean that is youth who was getting some flack for not getting playing time for the Euros.
Um, Manilo, if that's how it's pronounced, it is Mainoo. Yeah, who plays in
Well,
midfield with Casemiro.
you know
Yeah,
what I'm talking about, the Negro guy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Kobe, let's say Kobe.
Kobe,
Kobe, and
right,
make it easy.
Kobe.
Yeah.
They have him, they have Sancho if he gets to play or if he stays.
Yeah, he's gone. He not definitely getting no play. He
I
not
mean, he
seeing
was
no
supposed to go
grass.
PSG, I know, and some of that. Now they're talking about Chelsea. I don't know. They say the beef with him and Ten Hag is squashed, but doesn't seem that way to me.
That beef gonna go on and on. That beef is gone until Sancho is gone.
Right? They have Casemiro, they have the stalwarts, the Rashfords, the Bruno Fernandes. What the thing is, they have enough quality names, players that Manu typically has. But what something seems to be missing, and to me, the real, I guess, for Ten Hag's credit for what he did in PSV, it's PSV, right? It's PSG, is
No,
it?
no, he came from Ajax. I'm
Oh,
not sure
Ajax,
if he
right?
went to
Ajax, sorry,
PSG. Yeah.
Ajax. So what he did with those youth players and thing, he hasn't transferred that to the EPL though with Manu. Is it just that his he's too authoritative for these type of players? Because I mean, as I say, Manu has a mix of players in terms of experienced players, youthful experience, and then also young players. So is it that he still feels that he has this academy team that he's grooming, and the players are just not taken to that? I mean, we spoke about back then a few episodes ago about players now are not like
Mhm.
what they used to be, and they are multimillionaires. They control they control their careers a lot better than prior eras. So is it that they are just divas and they're just not taken to that old school type of coaching?
I mean, it could be, but when you really look at the overall picture, the version of Casemiro they got, not saying that he's a bad player, but that definitely is not the old Casemiro in terms of that pit bull in the middle
Mm,
that is gonna stop everything. He definitely has lost some of his stride in terms of being able to cover the amount of spaces. That's why he's now part of, instead of being a single anchor, he's a double anchor now with Kobe, right?
right.
Um, as I say, Rashford has not performed how people expect him to perform. Maguire has had his issues. Luke Shaw has been injured. Wan Bissaka is overrated by United fans. He is similar to Mendy, but not as good as the defensively as Mendy. So he has just been moved on. Matsara is there. He looks pretty decent in that role there. Ganacho is still a youth coming up. Hoyland, still a youth coming up. So Mount, waste of time. Let's say Mount was a
I mean,
terrible.
I agree. I agree.
That's a
I'm
terrible. Bruno Fernandez, actually, when you really look at it, Bruno Fernandez is actually their best player.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
actually their best player.
everything goes through him.
Yeah, so I mean, he has been doing a lot in terms of goal scoring, playmaking, everything like that. But I still don't think that the team in itself is good enough to challenge for top four. If they get top four, that'll be great for Manchester United.
To the more like a top 6, 7 type team.
Yeah, there'll be more around there. I don't think that'll be enough to challenge those top three for sure. For sure. Against City, against Arsenal, and this is over the long haul. They may
Right.
get through in the cup like they did, where they actually beat City and stuff like that. That's a one-off. That's
Well, yeah,
possible.
but I mean,
Can do
cup games are like whatever a team focuses on for the season. So like you say for City, who are looking, who their eyes are always on a trouble, basically, and a trouble being European trouble involved, European silverware being involved. So looking at UCL, top of the league, and probably like one of the domestic
the cups.
cups, right? So they would and England has like about 2 or 3 domestic cups. I think 2 Carling
Two.
and 2
The
Carabo
Carabao
and Carling.
and the FA
FA, right?
and the FA
So
Cup.
they would prioritize which cup it is that they really want. So that you would always find like the just below the top 4, more or less rise into one of those cups because that's their crowning moment for the season, if you want to call it that. So I don't really take that too much of a high regard. More or less, I looking at what it is you're doing in terms of either reaching to play in Europe or reaching at top of the domestic league. And if it is you saying that Man U is basically a slightly above average team in the sense of they're just above the mid table, that's kind of That's kind of off. That's for a team like Manu and for what they're trying to do. I mean, you have 10 half for these 3 seasons now. To me, the only reason he's still there is because they won the cup last season. So if it wasn't for that finals winning the cup, probably would be looking as a new coach in Manu.
I mean, it is possible, but I don't find for what Manu has been for the last decade, I don't think that we could really say that they deserve to have more right now. They're still, to me, in the process of rebuilding. They don't have that
How much rebuilding they gonna do with
recognizable
this
talent.
Chelsea?
Well, I mean, but at the end of the day, the rebuilding. When I say rebuilding, they still
Finding
don't
a
have
finding a new
that
identity.
squad. Yeah, that they still don't have that squad and that identity that they will have when they had under Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, again, that's a generational coach. You're not going to really get back that. But that is what fans expecting, not
Mm-hmm.
understanding that it's a whole. It was a whole clear out. It was his team or most of the boardroom staff. A lot of persons moved out. So at the end of the day, it's going to greatly affect the team. All right. So I don't think that expecting Manu to win the title right now is a good expectation. As you just setting yourself up for heartbreak. To me, it's better.
I say
Hey, you
no with
get
the
something in
title,
the
but what I'm
cup.
saying is that by now you would think that they would after because so Alex has left for a decade and plus now, probably. Right? They had his understudies there come through, they had different coaches come through, but
Mhm.
you would think by now they would lock in on a coach, which has been Ten Hag. But they would lock in on a system at least that works, or a group of players that are aye, that's your core group. To me, the only core player is, as you say, Bruno Fernandez. But
Yeah,
I guess
and that's what it is. You can't win a title with just Bruno Fernandez, you know what I mean?
correct. I mean, Rashford
So
is there, but as you say, Rashford has had a kind of a up and down topsy turvy kind of past few years.
yeah, he hasn't lived up to the hype um, that he had previously. Yeah, he,
Not
he
sure
had
what that could be, but I mean, maybe something changes. But enough of Manu. Let's move on to La Liga and your favorite team to hate.
that's not my favorite
Let's
team.
let's you talk about elephant in the room earlier on. So let's bring back let's talk about another elephant in the room. Barcelona FC
So let's just
and
correct
your
that
favorite
statement.
president Laporta.
Let's just correct that statement. I do
Huh?
not hate. Let's correct that statement. I do not hate Barcelona, right?
Dislike
I don't dislike Barcelona, right?
fan
I
base.
dislike some of the fan base, and I dislike the current president in terms of how he represents things. Other than that, oh, and Piqué and Busquets. But other than that, I'm totally fine with Barcelona, right? And I'm hating on Messi, even though Messi has destroyed Real Madrid many a time. And I'm hating on Messi. Hey, that's just how it is. But moving on from that,
Yeah. Moving along. Let's talk about their current situation and the many rumors of them bringing in a star winger, star striker, however you want to look at it. There have been a couple rumors. They've had Leao. They've had, I think Chiesa was one of them too,
he might actually go Liverpool. So I guess he's out of the running now.
right? There's another one too. There was three on the list. Well. Nico was the
Well,
initial. Was
Nico
the
was the
initial. Yeah. They wanted to bring that Spanish duo of Lamine and Nico to Catalan. I mean, I don't get them wrong, but what? Hi, let's talk about the real situation, right? Barca and their finances has been a problem for the past few years,
Mm-hmm.
right? Since Laporta has taken over, he has tried to right the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for the past, I would say 3 summer transfers, there have been players coming in and the season has started and they haven't been registered for the first couple of games. So now I remember we had this discussion off the books, off air with another colleague of ours, and there was capex versus opex, all that sort of high level terms. But the point is that they're still not managing the money good. Still not managing their books good. All the levers that they pulled, still not managing it good because you can't tell me you buy a player today, right? You know the rules of the league in terms of registering this player. And 2 weeks into the season and you haven't registered this player yet.
I think he recently got registered today or something like
Today,
that, right?
today,
Yeah, today.
today.
Today is the
They played, they
26th,
played, they played,
2026.
they played their second game on Saturday.
Right.
They
Right.
his signing was done, I believe,
A
2 weeks
while.
before, 2 or 3 weeks before the season started. It was done literally like right after you were finished.
All right.
So
So,
they had more than enough time to offload some players on the books to bring him in to be able to sign him. So what are they really doing?
so here's a thing, right? That again, because I'm not a Barcelona fan, but
Mm-hmm.
I do follow the league and stuff a lot. There are a lot of persons on Twitter are not talking about Barca Universal and these persons who push the propaganda. There are persons who actually follow La Liga and give you the in-depth details and things like the Niagara case, in terms of the issues with Tebas and Perez. So
Mm-hmm.
you get proper journalism from them as into what's going on. So when we had that off air discussion,
Right.
my point was that Laporta is lying to his fans. And what I mean by that is that there are a lot of things that levers that have been pulled and the money has not come in as yet.
Right.
And those levers were pulled a while now. So even
Yes, like
the
about two
selling of
years or so now, because
correct. So
that's part of the reason why the stadium is being rebuilt.
correct. So like the selling of part of the rights of Barca Studios,
Mm-hmm.
one of the entities that was supposed to actually buy part of it never paid for it. Right? So things like that. So there are a lot of income that has been put on the books that is supposed to be there
So
that
it's more
actually isn't
expected
there.
income than actual
Correct.
income.
Correct. So what is happening is that this is why you're seeing that, yeah, they could buy players, but it's based on promised money, right? Rather than the actual money that they have. But if you're actually a fan that is looking into this, you will realize that the money is still an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Now they may come out of it. I'm not saying that they won't come out of it. They can come out of it. But I think two of the issues that they have, or two of the large issues that they have, is one, they're still buying players. I mean, right now, Olmo looks like a better buy now than when Gondwan was still there. If Gondwan was still there and Olmo was there too, to me that would have been a waste of $60 million,
Right.
because you just don't have. It's only so much players you could put on the field at the same time, and they both play the exact same position. Only difference is that Olmo could possibly play as a winger, as like a left winger, which
It's not really a strong,
again
strong,
is not
strong point.
really a
It's more,
strong
it's
thing.
more down the middle.
Correct, right? Another thing is that if you're looking at the salaries and stuff, this guy who got loaned out again from Barcelona, he defender, I think is
Frankie De Jong.
no, Frankie, I'm still there. Lingale, I think is
Yeah.
his name. Right. They actually extended his salary for another 2 years and then loaned him out. So ideally, what that means is that the money that he's owed, they're now going to spread it across now 3 years instead of 1 year or 2 years, to be able to now pay less money towards salary. so that they could have some more salary cap to be able to register players, etc. So it's not that I wish in Barca bad. Of course, yes, I know say Laporta is responsible for this issue. This came from the president before.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm not saying no, but at the same time, Laporta is keep on is putting forward this narrative like, hey, hey, we are real money, we go and buy all the biggest players, all this kind of stuff, and Barca fans eating it up. But if you really look in the background, you're gonna see it's like this guy video, This Is America, where you're watching he dance and stuff in the background, it's all the drama going on. That is basically the same thing, right? So if this Nike deal does come true for Barca, that'll be huge. When it comes true, also makes a big difference. But I also think that if rumors are true, if you get that huge Nike deal and then you decide to go and buy Rafael Leao, which is going to cost in excess of $100 million, to me that's just a huge waste. It just doesn't make sense. You're now kind of coming out of
You
that.
know, yes, you know, get influx of cash to kind of cover your debts. And you
Yeah,
can splash
yeah.
it one time.
Look at the splash at one time. Even the things like try to force Frankie de Jong out. They bought this guy from Brazil who's now loaned to Betis,
Okay,
Victor.
Victor, okay?
Yeah, Victor. Okay, yeah. So you just you're still kind of. I mean, it's not as bad as the money that was spent for Neymar by the last president, but at the same time, you're still kind of spending kind of wild, right? And it not really that necessary right now because to
I wouldn't.
like be real fair,
Mm-hmm.
even under Xavi, who may not be considered to be the best coach, they still come first the first year and then second the second year. So you're going to be top three for sure
Yeah.
in La Liga.
I mean, they were out of Champions League the first year. The first year?
Yeah, the first year they were out. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
right
they
after
went
the
out
group
to
stage.
the group stage. So I mean, yeah, but I mean, but there's my thing, right? Would it have not been because La Mesa is a very good program, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. It's
Last
one
year,
of the
yeah.
best programs in Europe.
Yeah, second
Not
best,
just
yeah.
huh?
Second best, yeah.
Oh gosh, give her the credit. Give her the credit now, man. Give her the credit. But anyway,
Listen, nothing wrong with silver, nothing wrong with that.
anyway, it's one of the best programs in Europe, young programs in Europe. So, instead of been, I mean, you mentioned this prior to us starting this podcast and everything, is that what they need to do is just buckle down, hone in on those young players from La Mesa, grow with them, and in a few years, when it is one or two of them actually get some notoriety, maybe sell them off, and when the books start to balance off themselves a little bit, you sell off a couple of them to actually make some money, and then you start to buy um, top name talent. But I think they went the opposite route in terms of like, all right, let's not buy 3 and 4 hundred million worth players. Let's buy one and some 60, 80, 50 along the way every transfer season. But the thing is though is that what was going out is not more equal to what it is they were spending to bring in. So you're still running in the red.
Yeah,
And
I
although
think
you're still top of
mm,
Spain, you still have that TV money, you still have the European money to come from playing in UCL. It's still not balancing the books in the sense of even if jersey sales and all jersey sales, I think would have probably gone up last season from Yamal because Gavi has been injured, Pedri has been in and out of the lineup as well too. Those were your two prior to Lamine last year. Those were your two young players who were garnering notoriety and attention and would have
mhm.
pushed the jersey sales. But with them being out, if I as a fan, why go and buy a man who, as he come back here and he back on the bench injured again? He back in his stands. You know, so I mean, they get probably a minor influx from Yamal's jersey sales, but you're spending money now on upgrading your stadium. So it's still hemorrhaging money. So I don't see it as being profitable. Now they are still Barcelona. They're still the name still carries. But me as a player watching the situation, watching how many players had to defer their salaries, why would I go there? Why would I go there and probably have to take a pay cut one, also defer my salary for another however long they want to stretch it as though it's a NBA buyout contract. So
Mhm.
why as a top player would I go there?
Um, because again, it's Barcelona. As much as persons wanna hate, people will go to Chelsea, for example, for the money, right? No matter if they have 82,000 players, but people will go to Barca because it's at the end of the day, it's Barca. It's a legendary club, right? I could take a little bit for the salary. It's not like my salary that small that I can't eat, I can't live, and the money would come in. But at the same time,
But with paying taxes though.
to even with paying taxes, you'll still live at the end of the day is Barcelona. If you are a footballer, there is the only club that you could say is bigger than Barcelona is Real Madrid, and that depends on your perspective. So those two clubs, when they come knocking and say, "Yo, we want to," it's very rare that you could say no to opportunity like that, right? That takes it to a whole different level when you're playing for those type of clubs. And I remember that also open up more revenue for you too as a player,
True.
because certain deals that you would not gotten if you were in other places, you would get there, right? So your money is up regardless, even though Barca may not be able to pay the full salaries or be a smaller salaries, now whatever the case may be. It's not. It definitely won't be from Real Madrid or Barcelona the equivalent of what EPL could offer you. But again, if you're into money, you go the Saudi and the EPL route. But if you're in for glory, you'll go to the Real Madrid Barca route. So it's basically, as a footballer, what you are looking forward to the most. And you can kind of see the tide shifting now. You're seeing a lot of people going towards EPL and they go into the smaller clubs too, right? Like Fulcrook went to West Ham, if I'm not mistaken. That is totally weird coming from
No, but I
a
mean
club like
these
BVB.
people are invested in the EPL though. I mean when I say people, I mean the Middle East where the oil money has been invested in the EPL. So
Mm-hmm.
these clubs are that were once scrunting, for lack of a better term. They are now turning a profit and they have better investment. So they are
Mm-hmm.
splashing more on quality players. You know, they or the old money is gone and now there's a new investment. So they can try to regain some of the glory. So EPL is a whole different scenario than let's just say any of the other top European leagues, right? Say for the
Agreed.
exception of probably PSG, and that is not even the whole of the French league. That is just one club,
PSG. Yeah, that's just it.
PSG, right? So EPL I think is a different scenario because they whatever the marketing was or whatever it is that they did to maybe there's a change in model in terms of investors. I'm not sure, but
I mean, I don't have in depth as into what it is, but EPL has a lot of things going for it that other clubs, that other leagues don't have. One being English based, that ability to have English, which is the main language spoken across the world, helps in
true.
terms of marketing. But if you watch at the marketing for EPL, especially when compared to other leagues, the only league that's close to them when it comes to marketing their league, in my opinion, is Bundesliga. La Liga still has um, broadcasting strike
Bundesliga, but
with
yeah, sure.
Yeah, Bundesliga marketing is actually very good. It's just Bundesliga, the way that they do their league, there are certain criteria that they put in place to ensure that their local players get a lot more playing time and be able to come to a lot more
Okay,
clubs. So there's a lot less purchasing, right?
right.
All right, that's one area, but they promote their league very well in terms of goals and everything like that. La Liga has, as I say, this stupid rule where you can't put forward any clips of La Liga onto social media to actually blank it out. You know, some may sneak in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for a little time, but if you try to go back to those clips, you'll see that it's actually stricken out. So La Liga doesn't have that level of marketing think because you will see EPL goes anywhere across social media from any era, right? And it's not a problem because hey, that's you promoted our league for us for free, right? La Liga sees it totally different. So it's just marketing skills and well, English being also a big advantage for them too.
I suppose. I suppose. I guess. But the EPL has the cash because I was watching like for the spend this summer. I think La Liga spent like about let's say 600 million, give or take.
Right.
Um, trying to remember who else was it? No, no, it wasn't Bundes. I think
Now,
Syria was second.
Syria.
And
Yeah.
see, I was like about 700 million, and then you have standing by themselves EPL with $2.5 billion spent
Yeah,
on
that was gone.
transfers. So it's like, how could you how can you compete? So I guess from your perspective, where it says you said that in terms of Barca is about pedigree and prestige of the club. So that's where the Barcelonas, the Real Madrids, the Bayern Munichs, they would they would win out over the money aspect because of the pedigree. So I guess you use what you have to the best of your advantage, more or less.
Yeah, because one of the examples like Real Madrid right now, they changed their whole transfer strategy in terms of if there's a generational player, we will buy that generational player, but they'll be looking for certain profiles and types of players from young, bring them in, make sure that they can actually play, and then some seasons after they'll be starters, right? And we see that with Fede, we saw that even Casimiro, Vini, all those, right?
Camavinga,
Yeah,
Chouameni,
with
because
all
they were
those.
young players.
So we sorted all those plus well, true. I mean, he was more expensive. He was like 80 million. Bellingham was like nearly 100. So some of them cost, some of them are very low cost, and we just build them up. So some of the transfer strategy has changed.
But
Um,
listen, let me cut it. Let me cut in
yeah,
there.
yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead.
This whole this is what I want to use, boy. This whole elevated cost of players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could could you say or could you argue that Real Madrid are partially responsible for that? In the sense of the Galacticos era, where it was like, all right, you are you are the best wherever, we coming for you, we paying whatever, we paying whatever for you. So you're looking at R9, Zidane, Beckham. Who else am I missing? Let's
Well,
just
all
Kaka
right.
at one point,
Kaka, CR7.
CR7. So
Yeah.
Benzema, because they had to jostle with Leon to get Benzema's signature. So could you argue that Real Madrid for all that their new tactic is in terms of transfers, they started this trend of inflated pricing for players.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can say that. However, what I would say is that you have to also look at Real Madrid always has a strategy in
Hmm.
terms of money making. So that strategy then was to buy the biggest players, put them together with with your Castilla players, and that's going to be a team, right? It didn't work for the grand. It didn't work in terms of trophies. It worked in terms of money gain,
Marketing.
right? Yeah. So marketing, everything, they got a lot of money from it. So that was the strategy then. However, when oil money started coming to football, that's when you start to see that the strategy kind of started to change.
It's
Because
just
now
buy.
they couldn't compete. Yeah, they couldn't compete with those persons because yes, I'm not saying Zidane wasn't expensive, Figo wasn't expensive, CR7, etc. wasn't expensive. But remember how much was paid by PSG for Neymar?
200. Was it 220 or 225 or something? Some depending on the currency you're using.
200 and something plus M's, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, 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 yeah,
right.
yeah. And
Right.
the salary to go along with it too was a bit exorbitant as well.
So when that happened, that was like the extra, that was like the extra gasoline for the fire. No? So that's actually raised up everything from that
Yeah,
point.
'cause I
And
think
then
Madrid didn't buy any players for the next transfer window or two after that.
yeah, because I think our last big purchase was James
Right. And that was right
until
after the World Cup.
Hazard. Yeah,
And
until
that's during the
Hazard,
World Cup
right?
as a matter of fact.
Yeah. So that raised it, and then what happened with Barcelona is that they got that money and they kind of went crazy. That's when they paid the excessive amount for Dembele, for Griezmann, for Coutinho, right? And none of
That
them really
started them on
panned
their
out.
money troubles.
Correct. So all those things where people were willing to spend that kind of money, and EPL having money now to say, well, hey, I taking that player regardless. That's what have the market inflated right now. But yeah, I would say Real Madrid is partially responsible for having that how it is right now. They started that trend.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
They definitely started that trend, right? But as we talking about Madrid, let's
Mm,
move on to Madrid. But before I move on to Madrid, we just touch on in terms of Barca 2 games. They actually played pretty decent. There will be a problem in terms of challenging for La Liga. I do
But
think
they always are.
yeah, but I think Flick is definitely a serious upgrade over Xavi in
Hmm.
terms of tactically how they played. Now, I was fortunate enough to watch them play a friendly. It's only a friendly, the classical friendly, but you could see the ideas that he had for the team in
Okay.
there in terms of how they were going to press the ball and everything like that. So
And not just
even
the basic tiki taka that
nah, it's not basic tiki taka. They have an actual way of play. Now, if there's a
that suits
plan, B, if that's
the
not
complement
working,
of players that they actually have now.
in fact, it's like a system similar like Pep. So regardless, if you pull out one player and you put another
Right.
player, it's almost the same thing because
Okay.
they're following this particular plan. So that's why they're playing with the more like La Masia players right now, and they're still getting results because they're following that particular model that they have, which is totally opposite to how Real Madrid plays, which puts me onto the Real Madrid conversation one time. Ah, yes. It's beautiful Madrid.
I didn't hold anything for the whole episode so far. So get to
No,
it.
no, no. I ain't holding a team. First thing first. I think I don't know if we said it in the part or it was in conversation that people were expecting that this team is going to blow away everybody out of the water from the jump. And we were like, hold on, wait. Lost Tony Cruz. Mbappe is not really a
A
central
center
striker.
forward.
They will take some time to adapt.
Plus two, it's as much as it's the same players for the past 3 or 4 years. It's a new dynamic.
Yeah, can I
Yes,
have
you
no
have
Tony
players.
Cruz?
Yes, you have players who have played with each other for years, and this is on speaking about the players who've been there at the club. I'm talking about players like Chouameni, the French players who have played with Mbappe, right? But it's still a whole new. This is all of them playing under Carlo's system. And Carlos' system can be very interesting, for want of a better term. So from jump, I was like, I was my disposition was the same disposition I had last season, in the sense of I don't expect them to do much. If they get, I expect them to be second, third in the league, fighting for first, yes. But I don't expect them I don't expect them to win Champions League.
I
That's
actually have
just
it reverse. I
a
have it
shocker.
in reverse.
Huh?
I actually have it in reverse.
Nah, I don't expect it
Actually,
because I
I
think it
think that
still
they could win
takes.
Champions League, but they may actually not win the league.
So Champions League, but not the league.
Yeah. Either Champions League or Copa and not the league.
I'm more see Copa than, because something about Champions League and the league goes together for me. And this is not just Madrid. This is any Champions League winning team. They generally finish by winning the league. They generally get it double. It's very rare for the treble, yes, but they generally get the double. If not, they are more or less in a fight for it. So it's a point or two off, and it could go either way on probably the last kick of the ball on the last game of the season. So, but I don't see I don't see them winning Champions League and not the league, not La Liga.
I see that they have done it before, and I feel it will happen like that again. Reason being is that as the team starts to gel,
Mm.
one Carlo is a more cup focused coach. So meaning that he tends to be more successful in cups than leagues, right? So that's one. The second one is that in La Liga, if you watch the last two La Liga games, although it's just the first two games, everybody's going to play outside of possibly Barcelona, Girona, possibly Sevilla, and I won't even count Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid will do it too.
Let's
Everybody's
go.
playing
Let's
this
keep you
low
down
block.
and beat you up.
Everybody's going to play this low block where there are at least 11 players
Mm.
right in front of the box, right there. And Real Madrid is going to struggle to find ways around that. All of them are going to do that. And because we don't have an aerial presence and we don't have someone who can move the ball as quickly as Tony Cruz, we're going to struggle against that. So I see that being our biggest issue in La Liga. That's not going to happen in Champions League. The vast majority of teams in Champions League are going to try to score a goal. And once you're open, that opens up a lot more possibilities to be able to score goals. So I think for me, that is why I'm seeing a cup being something more realistic than La Liga, because that 11 men behind the ball, as much as people are saying, oh, Real Madrid not playing good, and bro, it's 11 men. I wanted to take the picture so I could show you when I watched that last game against, I mean, it's only Rayo, but I mean,
Yeah.
yo, it was full 11 men. Number 9 was at the top of the box. And I'm not talking about our box. The score goal that scored the top
He
of
was on
their
the
box.
18.
The man was only 18. The man was only 18. There was no room. Because I need you come and you telling me, yeah, but they should shoot from outside and stuff. That even he shots from outside was hitting someone. That is to tell you how much he was back up in that small little area. And because you don't have an aerial presence, even if you
Yeah.
put the ball wide, they're not fully committing wide because hey, you had to cross that ball. Ain't no way goes Mbappe, whoever else going to get ahead over us. So cross as you may want to say, that's not gonna make a difference. So yeah, I see in La Liga being a very much of a struggle.
I mean, Madrid's strengths has been recently their speed and the counter attacking. Matter of fact, for a while now, not just recently, but especially when it says you look at, you have Vini on the left, you have Mbappe through the middle, Rodrigo floating anyway between right to the left. They have speed and they have players that can play those players into the spaces and stuff. So sitting on a low block is basically lulling everybody to sleep. And Madrid is short. The tallest players are their centre backs.
And sure, man.
And sure many. Mbappe for his stature, he's not that tall. So you're missing. I think that is where they're missing Joselu. I mean, I really wanted him to stay, but I understand money. You gotta mind your family. So when the money calls, you gotta go. So but I don't know. It's left to be seen what happens. As I said, it's 2 games. It's early in the season. A lot of shit happens. Teams, there's a lot of stuff to happen still in terms of injuries. I'm not calling injuries on anybody, but I'm just saying it's a part of the game. It happens.
I'm not going to say more.
Huh?
And I'm going to say more. What more injuries? What happened?
I'm not talking about for Madrid. I'm talking about in general for teams.
Right.
Because as I say, Celta is sitting in number 1 spot right now. We do expect Celta to be there by December. I mean, Girona was a flukes last season. We was all saying, Girona on top. Yeah, wait till December, January. They're still floating on the top 2, 3. So, I mean, every year there's a team that challenges the top 2 in terms of Madrid and Barca, but they generally end up 1-2 either way. So I'm not really frightened or concerned at this point in time. It's 2 games. Whoever on top. There's what 35 more games, 36 more games to go. So there's time still.
No, I agree. There's time still. There's a lot of things to happen. I did tell you what I think is going to happen by the end of the season, but I'll hold that for another podcast. So, right, I see we are the hour mark. So, I mean, there's still a lot to discuss, but I guess you could hold off until the next one.
Yeah. We back. We're trying to be a little more consistent again. It's just that life happens, and also there really wasn't much to talk about for the past couple of weeks.
Unless it's just transfers and friendlies the really
Can't talk friendlies. Friendlies is there.
It is.
So until next time.
You might.